The small things that you do every day eventually add up to the life you're living. And that's why I believe habits are so important. So in this video, I'm gonna share 5 habits that have honestly changed my life over the past decade. And if you're new here, welcome. I'm Connor. I'm a dad, entrepreneur, and coach, and I'm obsessed with living an intentional life. And over the last 6 years, I've helped thousands of people at companies like Google, L'Oreal, and Squarespace to reclaim their attention so that they can start living a life more on purpose. If you want to get your life off autopilot and stop just going through the motions, you feel like you're ready to start taking back a little more control so you can show up in your own life and in your work with more intention and purpose. That's exactly what I can help you with inside my program, The Inner Operating System. So if you're interested in learning more, I'd love to have a conversation with you. Just go to the description below and you can book a call with me. We'll discuss where you're at, what you want to change, and we'll see if the program is a good fit for you. The first habit is an obvious one, and it is exercise. Now, look, I know that everybody watching this realizes that there are a million different benefits of exercise. I'm not going to sit here and try to sell you on any of those. Instead, I want to share with you a mindset shift that I don't really hear talked about that often. And for me personally, has really allowed me to stay just much more consistent with my movement and exercise practice over time. First started working out and going to the gym when I was about 16. And throughout my late teenage years and into my 20s, the main reason I was showing up was I wanted to look good. I wanted to get those gains. What would happen is, some days I would wake up and I'd feel tired, sluggish, probably hungover for most of those days in my 20s. And I would just skip the gym because I would think, I don't really have the energy. I'm not going to have a good workout. So I would just wait for another day. But at some point, I started to notice something. Even on those days that I would make it to the gym when I was tired and feeling a bit lazy, I would always leave feeling so much better. Up until that point, I thought I needed energy to exercise, but it was the exact opposite. Exercise is actually the thing that gives me energy. 1 hour of movement can give me 3 or 4 hours of great energy afterwards. Once I had that realization, my mindset towards exercise changed. And it made it so much easier to find that motivation to show up at the gym. Because I knew that even on days when I felt tired, when I felt sluggish, going to the gym was going to be the thing that would give me energy. A lot of the habits that I've built over the years, whether that's exercising, meditating, eating healthy, they all require me to do something. They require a bit of energy, a bit of work. Take eating healthy, for example. You've got to take time to do good grocery shopping. You've got to think about the meals. You got to cook and prep and clean and all of that. This next habit is a little bit different because it doesn't really require you to do anything at all. It sort of does the work for you. This habit is spending more time in nature. During COVID, when there was not much else going on, I started taking myself out on these long walks in nature. And what I realized was something quite interesting. Simply just being out on a long walk in the woods, I would just feel that my anxiety would sort of settle down. My headspace would become a lot more clear. The problems that I thought were really big, they just seemed a lot smaller. And it was like my whole nervous system was downshifting. And it turns out there's some really cool science behind this. There was a study done at the University of Exeter. It was a pretty big one. They had 20,000 people in the sort of sample size. And what they found was that 2 hours per week in nature was linked with better health and well-being outcomes. What I loved about this study was that those 2 hours, they could be broken up across the week, and it didn't require the participants to go, totally off the grid into deep nature. Simply being in a nice park or a garden like I am in the city right now was enough. Have you ever come across an old photo? Maybe it was from your wedding day or a family reunion or just some epic night out with your friends. And suddenly you're transported back to that scene. You're reliving that experience and it just feels really good. This next habit is about deliberately creating more of those moments to look back on. And it comes from this amazing book called Die with Zero. And the habit is to create memory dividends. So some of you probably know what a financial dividend is. You own a share in a company, and just for holding that share, every year you get paid a little dividend. Bill Perkins, the author, takes this concept and applies it to your own experiences, your own memories. When you do something meaningful, whether it's going on a big trip or organizing a special celebration with family and friends, you enjoy the experience itself. But then in the future, when you look back and you relive that moment, you get to experience that whole feeling again. That is what Bill Perkins calls the memory dividend. Once I heard about memory dividends, I started making them in all sorts of ways. Claire and I have done everything from making digital photo albums for like monthly highlights to printing out annual photo albums of our favorite moments of the year. Sometimes we've created Instagram reels of trips and experiences that we just keep for ourselves. And we've even gone as far as creating 10 to 15 minute YouTube videos just for us that really mark special occasions in our life, like our wedding day, for example. Before I share my next 2 life-changing habits, I want to hear from you. What's a habit that's made a big difference in your life? Take a minute and comment below. I'd love to hear from you. I think a lot of us have this feeling like our brains are kind of rotting, mainly due to the infinite feeds of social media and all of the short form videos that we just get hooked on, and honestly, just our phone in general. And there's a lot of conversation online these days about cutting the phone out of your life. I think that's useful to a point, but we're missing the other side of the conversation, because banning and blocking our phone to protect us from brain rot, it can help, but what about things that are actually good for your brain? That's where this next habit comes in for me, and it's simply reading. Now, I've always enjoyed reading, but the truth is, the busier my life has become, when I started a business, when I became a dad, it's sometimes difficult to sustain the practice. There have been 2 mindset shifts that I've had towards reading, which has ultimately made reading more enjoyable, more fun, and has helped me keep it up, even when life gets really busy. The first is giving myself total permission to stop reading things that I don't enjoy. I used to have this feeling that every book that I started reading, I had to finish. But I would kind of get into the middle of something I didn't really love, and then I would get stuck and I would stop reading for a few days or weeks. Now, if I don't love a book, I'm like, fine. I just put it to the side and I pick up something that actually excites me. The second mindset shift came when I heard this entrepreneur and investor, Naval Ravikant, talking about reading. And the way he described reading is it's like rubbing 2 sticks together. You're just looking for the spark. And once I heard him say that, it really shifted my whole attitude towards reading. Instead of treating it like a chore or homework, thinking that I have to really remember every single detail of everything that I'm reading, it's become a lot more fun. What I'm doing is following my curiosity. I'm looking for new ideas, new perspectives as I'm reading. I'm connecting them to my own experience. And that has really helped me fuel my creative practice. And whenever I feel sort of stuck in my life, now I turn to books as a way to sort of spark excitement and curiosity and get me inspired again. The first 4 habits were all about adding something new to your life. But sometimes the more powerful thing to do is to remove a habit. That's what leads us to the 5th and final life-changing habit, which for me has been giving up drinking. In my 20s, I had this work hard, play hard mentality. It began in my college years in New Orleans, and it carried through as I started working for Google after college. I would work really long, hard hours during the week, and then I would use drinking on the weekends to blow off some steam. But over time, I started to recognize that I didn't really like the person I was becoming after a few drinks, and I liked the day after even less. After a big night out, the next day was kind of lost. I would just be sitting there, lazy, ordering takeout, feeling really sluggish. And it really started to dawn on me that that wasn't how I wanted to spend my time. So back in 2017, I kind of hopped on that bandwagon of dry January and I tried 30 days without drinking. After those 30 days, I just kept going because I started to realize I felt so much better on the weekends. Instead of waking up on a Saturday morning late and hungover, I woke up early with energy and I was able to do things that I actually enjoyed. I went back to drinking for a little bit after that break, and then the following year, I tried it again. And then I just kept going. 30 days turned into 100 days, turned into almost 3 years that I went without having a single drop of alcohol. Now, I'm not here to tell you that you need to stop drinking, but if you've been curious about it, there is one shift that I made that really helped me sustain this habit up until this day. I stopped looking at drinking as something that I had given up and that I was restricting myself from. And instead, I shifted my mindset. I started to realize I was choosing different things in my life. I was choosing to wake up feeling good on a Saturday morning instead of feeling hungover. I was choosing to have more money in my bank account to spend on things that I cared about rather than just crazy nights out. And ultimately, I was choosing to have more time and more energy to devote to the people in my life I care about. And I think that has really made a big difference. I do not think I would have been able to quit Google, start my own business, find a partner I love, get married, have kids, if it wasn't for this single decision. It's made such a huge impact in my life. So there you have it, 5 life-changing habits that have made a huge difference to me over the past decade. Now look, creating new habits and building new routines, it's difficult. If you've wanted to make some changes in how you're showing up in your life and in your work, but you've been struggling to stay consistent, that's exactly what I can help you with inside my program, The Inner Operating System. So if you're interested in learning more, I'd love to have a conversation with you. Just go to the description below and you can book a call with me. We'll discuss where you're at, what you want to change, and we'll see if the program is a good fit for you. And if you've watched all the way to the end, it means that you hopefully liked this video. So please give it a like. And if there's someone in your life that you think would benefit from this video, please share it with them. It's a great way to help support this channel and make sure that these life-changing ideas reach more people out there. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next week.